Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where you just couldn't catch what someone said, but you felt too awkward to ask them to repeat it? Well, you're definitely not alone. You know, this bow tie actually reminds me of moments like that. Why? Well, simple. If you twist it just the wrong way, suddenly nothing looks right. Well, conversations are the same. If you miss one word and your brain starts guessing instead of understanding. But here's the thing I wish someone had told me years ago. It took me experience to figure it out. Confident people don't pretend. They pause and then they ask. So here's my suggestion for those times. The moment that you miss something, don't freeze, don't fake it, just use this simple line. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you say it one more time, please? Say it gently, with a small nod, and that one tiny sentence is just like straightening the knot. Everything becomes clearer. Give it a shot. Try it today. And you will feel the difference. Trust me. And before we move on, I want you to... Uh-oh. All right, before we move on, I want you to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs clearer conversations. And don't forget to drop your questions in the chat. I'll answer them live at the end, right after the Mastery Minute. You're not going to want to miss that. And, all right. Now, let's dive into it. Let me introduce you to Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon, he's a really smart guy. He's great at his job, but he was terrible at asking for repetition. He once sat through an entire meeting pretending that he understood every instruction. He just nodded and smiled. He even wrote things down, none of which matched reality. Well, why? Because he missed one key sentence. Later, when I asked, he said, Dennis, I just didn't want to interrupt. Everyone else seemed to understand. But here's the secret. Half the other people didn't understand either. And this is the part that most people don't realize. When you pretend, the conversation keeps moving on without you. And when you pause to ask for repetition, you actually anchor the room. People reset, they refocus, they follow your lead. Listen, asking for repetition isn't a sign of weakness, it's actually a sign of leadership. It shows that you're dialed in and not checked out. And with that mindset shift in place, let's break down this simple, natural phrases that make repetition feel effortless. And this is your mastery segment. All right. Now, why does this matter? That's the big question. Why is asking for repetition such an important professional skill? Well, because misunderstandings can be expensive. They cost time, they cost money, they cost trust. One missed detail can change a deadline, a decision, or even an entire project. And the people who grow the fastest in English and in their careers are the ones who slow the moment down, get clarity, and move forward with confidence. So as we go through these phrases, think of them as tools that you can use anytime a conversation starts to slip away. They're simple, natural, and they'll make you sound calm and in control. So let's jump right into it with being quick and polite. This is sometimes you miss something small, like a word or a name or a detail, and your brain immediately tries to fill in the blanks. Or maybe you're stuck trying to think of what they said and you miss everything beyond that. And that's when we get into trouble. This is the moment where a simple, friendly repetition request saves you. Think of these as your reset buttons, right? They are light, they're natural, and nobody ever finds them rude. So here's a couple of examples. You could say, sorry, could you say that again? Or, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat it? These work. They're casual. They're human. They're not heavy or formal or dramatic. You're not blowing up the whole thing. They just gently pause the conversation without derailing it. And the truth is, most people don't even notice that you ask. They just repeat themselves and keep on going. Now, if you're in a more professional setting, especially a meeting where you'll want something just a little more polished, and that's where the next tip comes in. Professional and friendly. We'll talk about those moments when the conversation feels a little more formal. This is for like meetings, presentations, interviews, anywhere where you want to sound polished. And in those environments, the way you ask for repetition sends a message about your professionalism. Instead of something super casual, you want phrasing that shows you're engaged and focused and taking the conversation seriously. These lines get the job done without making the other person feel like they weren't clear. Now, what phrases are we talking about? You could say, would you mind repeating that last part? See how we started with a would you mind? That's very kind and professional. Or you say, could you clarify what you meant about something? All right. These are not stiff. They're very respectful, and they signal that you care about I lost my camera again. They signal that you care about accuracy and that you're paying attention. You're not afraid to slow things down when it matters. Okay? When you use these, people don't think, oh, they didn't understand. What they think is they care about getting this right. But what if the moment feels awkward and you want a smooth escape hatch? That's where the next technique shines. I love this next one. We call this the noise excuse. Okay? And here's the trick. Everyone should keep this one in their back pocket because sometimes you miss something and you really don't want to make it about you. Maybe the person seems rushed. Maybe they're your boss. Maybe you just don't want to feel like you're interrupting. Well, that's the What's happening? Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm sorry. You can use this to blame anything else instead of just your lack of paying attention. You say something like, oh, I'm sorry, my audio cut out for a second. Could you repeat that? Or there was a little noise on my end. Could you say that once more? These are great for video conferences. Or you could say, oh, I'm sorry, I got distracted by that thing if you're in a meeting or something like that, and ask for someone to repeat that once more. All right? This works because it removes all responsibility from the moment. You're not saying that you didn't understand. You're saying that the environment didn't cooperate. And because that happens to everyone, even native speakers, nobody questions it. They just repeat themselves, usually more quickly. But sometimes you did understand most of what was said. You just need one more detail confirmed. And that's where the next tool becomes incredibly powerful. And this is precision repetition. All right? There are times when you catch 90% of the message, but that missing 10%, that's the part that actually matters. Okay? So instead of asking for the whole sentence again, you could zoom in on the exact detail that you're unsure about. Okay, we're having technical difficulties today. All right, yeah, zoom in on the part of the message that you're unsure about. This saves time and it keeps the conversation flowing and makes you sound sharp and intentional. So you can say, just to be sure, did you say Tuesday or Thursday? Or, use an exact example. Or you might say, did you mean the first option or the second? Okay? Now, people love this approach. Why? Because it shows that you're listening and you're not wasting their time. All right? You're just checking one piece. So it's very efficient, it's professional, and honestly, it shows that you're an experienced communicator because that's how experienced communicators talk. It's called active listening. And finally, we got the most advanced repetition tool, the one that makes you sound clear every time you use it. And this one really is a game changer. And it's something that you see professionals use in high pressure jobs. We're talking pilots, doctors, engineers, managers. So instead of asking the other person to repeat themselves, you repeat what you think they said. And then they can either confirm it or correct you. Pretty good, right? It's the clearest form of communication that you can use. So you might say, so just to confirm, you'd like me to, or whatever. We used to do this on the ships all the time when you're handing over the watch. You say, just to confirm, this is the operation for this watch, right? And we use this to, excuse me, why do we do this? Because it shows that you're doing more than just checking understanding. It shows that you're being a leader. It shows that you're taking ownership. It shows that you're not just listening, you're processing and taking responsibility for the next step. So when you use this technique, people will trust you more because you eliminate assumptions. And all of these tools work even better when you remember one simple truth. What is that? Well, you got to remember that clear communication beats pretending every time. People appreciate clarity and they trust you more when you ask. Okay? And here's the part I want you to take to heart. Every time you choose clarity, you're building a reputation. People start to see you as someone steady and thoughtful and dependable. You're not the person who guesses or hopes for the best. You're the person who makes sure things are right. That's the kind of communicator that people love working with. And that's exactly the kind of communicator that you are becoming by watching this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's right. That's who you are. It's who you're becoming. So tonight, your challenge is simple. I want you to pick just one of these phrases and use it. Use it with a friend or a coworker or even sitting around in a cafe. You will be shocked at how natural it feels. And as well, you can check the full blog and more importantly, Mastering English for Busy Professionals. It's just English. It's how you improve your English in just 10 minutes a day. No memorizing, no boring textbooks, just simple, practical habits that you can use immediately. If you're tired of feeling stuck, this is the course that I give to my students, my private clients, so you can get it for yourself. So hit the tap the like button, hit subscribe, and drop your questions. Drop your questions in the chat because now it's time for what? It's time for the Mastery Minute. I love the Mastery Minute. I'm excited. Aren't you? Okay, so have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking that you agreed on something Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking that you agreed on something only to realize later that the other person heard something completely different? Well, that's what we call crossed wires. Wow. Where did this come from? Back in the early days of telephone lines, physical wires could actually cross, right? And when that happened, people would hear pieces of other conversations. It was total chaos. The signal was literally mixed. So this basically means cross wires is Crossed wires describes miscommunication, when two people misunderstand each other without meaning to. And you'll hear it in a few different forms. You might say, we got our wires crossed, right? Or looks like our wires got crossed. Or sorry, I think there were some crossed wires. Huh? They all mean the same thing, that the message just didn't land as the way it was supposed to. You know, a client once told me, deadline is Friday, right? They said, and I said, what? I thought you said Wednesday. See, we got our wires crossed, just like that. So how do we use it? Try something like, oh, looks like we got our wires crossed. Let me clarify. It's a friendly way to reset the conversation and prevent bigger mistakes down the line. So next time you feel if something is off or unclear, use this phrase to gently reset the moment and get everyone back on the same page. And that is a wrap. This was episode 100. Can you believe it? Tonight we learned some quick, reliable ways to ask for repetition without feeling awkward, and how to avoid crossed wires before they actually happen. Next time, on Monday, we're jumping into a powerful set of everyday idioms that don't just sound natural, they actually help you take action in real situations. If you've ever wanted English that moves conversations forward instead of stopping them, you won't want to miss this one. And until then, remember, keep your bow tie straight and stay curious. My name is Dennis Wilborn, and this has been 15-Minute Mastery. Everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Sorry for the technical difficulties.